as a previous realtor in Panama, I understand the value of renovating homes correctly. And now as an interior designer, I know that some of your questions come about, am I doing the right thing? Am I investing the right amount of money? Is this going to increase the value of my home? And I've seen a lot of renovations that did not go as planned. And this is why I have invited a panel of realtors that will come and answer questions related to renovations and the return on investment. I'm gonna try to bring you all to the screen at the same time. If not, we will just have to. Here's Felipe. Let me see. Add a pin. Here's Ana Maria, Natasha, and one more. And Fola, very good. I'm glad that I fit you all on the screen. We are missing Nello from Quebec. He's been under the weather, so I'm not sure he'll be able to join us, but I am delighted. Thank you all to be here. Thank you, thank you. Let me just quickly introduce each one of you, and then we'll move into the questions. So I'm going to start with Felipe. Felipe has been a realtor since 2016 and works with his brother Juan as the Two Brothers Real Estate Team. They have tailored their business in helping the Spanish-speaking community in the area. And by the area, it's in there. You guys are in BC. Felipe, maybe you can tell us exactly where in BC you guys are in a second. And his attention to detail and superior customer service have separated him from the rest. Having lived in the Vancouver area since arriving to Canada at the age of 12 years old, Felipe uses the knowledge of his community to advise and help find the right neighborhood for his clients. He listens to his clients' needs and wants and matches them to the right property, then assures an honest and efficient transaction. Felipe, where in BC are you? Is it Vancouver?
Yeah, so we pretty much service Vancouver and the Fraser Valley area. Okay. So pretty much the suburbs of Vancouver. Awesome. And we do have a quite extensive area that we service. So yeah.
Very nice. Yeah, Vancouver's huge. Thanks.
It is a large area. Yeah.
Next is Ana Gonzalez and Natasha Lal. They started their careers in 2020 as realtors in the Greater Toronto area. They have, however, always been involved in the real estate sector, as Anna's parents own Promotora Dream House, and Natasha has been assisting her realtor husband for 7+ years. Both are passionate about helping their clients secure properties throughout Southern Ontario. And of course, there's Folami Olupitan. Fola has been in Canada for 4 years, and he's originally from Nigeria, where his love for real estate started, and he also flipped homes there. Before getting his Canadian real estate license, he was a tech department manager at London Drugs until he stepped down to go full-time real estate. He is currently with Urban Real Estate Services, and Fola is married and has 2 kids. He loves meeting people, and his love for houses makes it easier for him to marry people to their dream homes. Welcome, all of you. Welcome. As I mentioned before, this is probably the section I've been looking forward the most, and I'm delighted that you're here. I have a few questions that I would like for all of you to answer, and then we're going to go into some deeper questions about the ROI of our investment. So maybe ladies first. Let me just head to those questions. And Natasha, if you could just, well, I introduced yourself, but if you can then tell us what percentage of your first-time buyers have access to newly built homes, and how long do first-time homeowners tend to stay in their first home before upgrading to a bigger one? So that's kind of based on your geographical area, your experience. Can you also add what upgrades increase the home value? And I know that some questions you want to take together with Natasha, so I'll let you answer that either together or individually.
Yeah, of course. Well, thank you, Jessica, for having us today. So in regards to your question, about, I would say 100% of our customers have access to newly built homes. That's a really good thing about EXP. We do have access to anything our customers need. We do dedicate our time to getting to know the major builders, and we have great teams, and EXP really does work as a team, all in all, to work together to help our clients, specialize in, like different people in EXP specialize in different areas, and we do support each other, and we can secure clients with units with the team effort that EXP does provide.
Very good. And so the reason I was wondering is because I'm thinking, Toronto, Vancouver, how many new projects are being developed, but I guess it's being covered in both areas. It's not a limitation. Would you say that?
Yeah, no, definitely not. There's always new builds going up, but I think that the main thing is how we kind of use our builders' information. We do have to do research on our builders before we go ahead to kind of promote that builder, because sometimes you never know what the market can bring. And sometimes builders don't go forward with, what they're saying, or it could be some builders are known for always procrastinating or like extending time. And some builders are known for like really getting on and like finishing projects quicker than they're supposed to. So there's always opportunities. It's just kind of where you're looking for and, how it happens. Yeah.
I saw Felipe, you were like, so we'll get to you. We'll get to you in a second.
Might be a little bit different in the Vancouver area. Now, there's tons of projects that are coming out all the time. And as you mentioned, there's opportunities sometimes where we're able to secure some of these units. But the reality is that around this area, the market has been extremely active. It probably has had the lowest amount of inventory, which generates the highest amount of pricing for these properties. And what we have noticed is that the crowds have pretty much jumped from the resale properties just because they don't want to fight or overpay for properties. And they have moved now to the new home sector where the prices are pretty much set. And they're thinking, well, we have to pay the GST, 5% added on. It's actually going to pay off because we're not going to have to pay an extra $100,000 or $200,000 paying overpriced anyways. And they're going to get a new property. What that created, though, was a huge demand for new properties, where now they have done something like a lottery system for you to be able to be chosen to pick one of those properties. Wow. And it has now become extremely hard to get a property, a new home in this Vancouver and the Fraser Valley. It has become virtually impossible. Now, one of the things that has happened, for example, 1,200 applications for 56 homes. So it's literally less than 1% chance. And they do it as a lottery where you put your name and they pick names. And if you got picked, that was a good day. And if not, we go back to the board and we try again with a new project.
You know what? And I would definitely agree and say that a lot of it is the same here. It's extremely competitive. Certainly a lot of people might have all the hopes to get into a place, but the reality is that they're selling off so fast. I mean, even 24 hours is too long. Like you see these places getting sold out in 5 hours, in 2 hours even. Some people are camping outside, even wanting to get a chance. But to be honest with you, I would really take this moment to kind of boast our brokerage really and say that thankfully we have realtors in here that have 50 plus years experience, and they've been able to really kind of deliver and be able to secure places in spots that, I mean, I can't say 100%, but I will tell you that the majority of our clients have been able to secure a place because of having these connections. So that's important as well, to be able to go in with somebody that knows someone in the building and can get us in, right?
For sure. Fola, you and I are in Calgary. And so I guess our experience is a bit different. We actually, I'm admitting him again. I'm gonna wait until he comes back. But while Fola is here able to answer, just quickly, Felipe, how long do people stay in first time in a home when they're first time home buyers?
I've been a realtor for 6 years. I'm starting to see the changeover from people that bought when I first started my career. As I tell my clients the same way, hey, this is not a forever home. This is a stepping stone to the next step. Getting into this type of markets is extremely hard to do, especially with the price points that we have at this point. So we have to expect people to get into homes that they're only going to be there for maybe 3, 4, 5 years.
Okay, 3, 4, 5 in Vancouver.
Yeah, and with the property prices going up up so high and so fast, they could actually do that even sooner because equity has built a lot quicker through price appreciation.
Good point. Anna, quickly, would you agree 4 to 5? Is it more? Is it less
Yeah,
in Toronto?
absolutely. I mean, it just comes down to the person's goals. I think definitely having that understanding that this is not your forever home. It's a stepping stone to the next place. And I mean, the sooner that you can go in there and build the equity, I think I would probably say it's pretty similar here. I would probably say about that length of time.
Yeah, very good. And Fola, I was asking, but we lost you for a second. You've heard them say that, you know, how hard the market is in Vancouver and Toronto. Do you find it's the same thing here in Calgary? And according to your experience, how long do first-time homeowners tend to stay in their starter home?
Yeah, thank you for having me on, Jessica. I really appreciate the opportunity. So yeah, just as they've shared, the other realtors, it's crazy here. It's really competitive, and the thing is, here in Calgary, we are having shortage of lots provided by builders, right? It's really crazy. A lot of people, especially first-time owners, are interested in going for newly built, so pre-constructed properties and all that, but because of lack of lots available to builders, this is almost impossible, right? So there are tons of people, tons of names been put down just because they're waiting for lots to be available before they can be able to start rolling out this constructions, right? So yeah, it's to me, I think there are tons of people that are willing to get properties that are newly built, but there's lack of it right now. So a lot of people are going for pre-construction. Pre-owned properties, right? So yeah, so what we're trying to do as a realtor, what I try to do is, because I know that majority of people want this newly built, I try to, as much as possible, with the support of my brokerage as well, try to get as close as I can to something new, right? So, and that's very encouraging, right? So yeah, that I think answers that question. And now, about how many years people stay in their houses before they tend to get another. Honestly, this is a question that I see that has to do with individuals, right? A lot of people come in here with their family to buy a home, and they settle in there, and some people tend to sell quicker than the others. With the market going as is right now, it's easy for people to sell their homes and having built equity, right? They're able to,
just like Anna said too. Yeah, it's the equity built.
Very good. Especially because of the work from home. A lot of people are finding it very uncomfortable and working and in the same house as their their spouse and all that, and because of the size of the home, they're looking at getting something bigger where they can have more convenience.
Very good, very good.
Yeah, I think that's the situation right now.
Thank you. I see a comment here. Benjamin says, I agree. I have colleagues and co-workers who have bought their home in the last 3 to 5 years and they're selling now and looking to move. Thank you for your answers. I have a question, and I'm going to direct this question to Felipe and Natasha. The question reads, a lot has been said about the amount people are spending on a renovation or upgrade versus the return on investment. How can homeowners determine what will bring the most amount of money when they sell? Natasha, you want to go first?
Yeah, so I feel like doing your research is really important. So selling, there's so many factors on how a property is going to be valued when you're selling. So in the GTA area, for example, a house being sold in Hamilton compared to a house being sold in Oakville, there's so many different factors as how that's going to be priced and what the resale value of that property is going to be. So we're going to be looking at a lot of the area, the demographics, the comparables. Upgrades are being done to the property. So for example, if we're buying a house on the same street, if one house has certain upgrades and the other house doesn't have those upgrades, but they're both priced at the same value, then obviously the other house is going to be sold for a little bit more, as the other the house that doesn't have the upgrades, those are going to be downsized, and like maybe they're going to get lowball offers, right? So it really just depends on where the area is and how, you know, how they're going to be presenting that property to
Okay.
be sold.
So do your market research is what would you say in the comparables in the area? Felipe, what would you say?
Well, I like to give an answer that probably buyers don't like to hear. Okay, but the reality is that the investment that you're going to put in your home are the maintenance investments, the investments of the vitals of the home. For example, the roof. If you're not maintaining the roof, doesn't matter that you have a nice kitchen, but your roof is leaking. So the return on that investment for the kitchen was not the right investment for the home, because the buyers are not going to value the kitchen if the roof is leaking.
Yes.
So again, in my opinion, that should be where your money should first go, is maintain the vitals of the home. And then at that point, of course, depending on the location and the situation and needs of the family, then other upgrades should be done. Now, in this area, of course, we have beautiful weather here pretty much from February until
Don't
October.
say that. Don't tell us that right now.
Okay, well, the weather sometimes is okay in this area. So I do believe, of course, that not necessarily upgrading or increasing sizing of your yard or anything, but just making it appealing and actually make it into a livable space in this area goes a long way. And of course, kitchens are always the heart of the home. Investing in your kitchen, if you invest the money in it, is great, in my opinion, as well. Bathrooms, the same thing. Okay,
very good.
Focus on the maintenance of the home. That's where your money should be going on to, because everything else is secondary, in my opinion.
I love that. We just had a presentation from Better Contracting. He was talking about the maintenance of the roof, which is not very glamorous or fun to talk about, but it needs to be addressed, because sooner or later, every homeowner will have to face that. And so, yeah, we've been talking about maintenance for the last few days, and I do agree that definitely has to come into play. I'm going to ask this question now to Anna and then Fola. With the real estate market as crazy as it is now, where in some areas, you know, buyers are, there are multiple offers, and one of you mentioned it too. You know, sometimes houses can be sold over $100,000 or more above the asking price. People competing. You mentioned that there's line of people camping outside. So is it even a concern to upgrade the house, where sometimes, you know, buyers are just buying without even looking at the home? Should homeowners even be worried about doing upgrades? Anna and then Fola, please.
I would say certainly yes. My answer to that, it's 100%. It is not a waste of time. Aesthetics are so important, let alone, I mean, not even just aesthetics, like, you know, the maintenance, like Felipe said, like of the home. I mean, that's something that is still extremely important. I would almost say, you know, Natasha and I were discussing this, and we said, look, the other side of the coin on this is that sometimes when people go ahead and they give over asking, the lenders may not approve, right? They might not appraise at that value if it's not worth it. You can certainly come in and say, yeah, let me give 100,000 over, but the reality of it is that a lender is going to want to appraise, and they're going to have to say, is it worth it or not? And I think that doing the right upgrade certainly helps in allowing you to get your house appraised at that value that you want to sell it in. So that is extremely important. Natasha gave the example earlier of having two places that are going for similar value. Yes. And the reality of it is that if you're working with a realtor, you're going to pull comparables. And when you pull comparables, you're going to be able to see, well, you know, is this house really worth it? We're looking at this one, it's going for the same value. It actually has all these things. Are we really going to end up getting that value? So I would say if you want to get your money's worth, please make sure you do the right investment, and make sure that you get a realtor to work with at the end as well. Because, you know, even with the first question that you had about return of investment, we can do our research all day long, but you don't have to if you have the right team with you that is going to be able to do it for you. This is part of the service that we offer as realtors, right? To be able to provide that research.
And I agree. Fola, before I just give you the time, I consider realtors being at the forefront. You are the ones who hear the comments and the feedback from buyers. You're the ones who hear it all, and you hear the comments. You know if a house didn't sell well because of X, Y, and Z. So I even think that when people are renovating, they should always get the opinion of a realtor, because we may be, you know, up to date with other things, but you guys are at the forefront. you guys know what the market is asking or rejecting. So Fola, to you, what's your take on that? I don't know if Calgary is as crazy as it is in Toronto and Vancouver when it comes to the selling and the offering of homes. But what do you think about, renovating, or should people just, people are buying the houses regardless? Should the homeowners even bother with renovating it?
Yeah, just like Anna said, I think I totally agree to, renovations. You don't want to, sell your house if it's, not properly maintained. Like Felipe said as well, maintenance is very key. There's superficial changes, that make bigger impacts, on buyers, right? Rather than some intensive renovations. If you put a ton of money on your bathroom, right, or in your basement, and you have your walls falling apart or your roof leaking, like Felipe mentioned, then it's going to be a turn off for a lot of people, right? So I would say you don't have to put a lot of money, you don't have to invest a lot of money, especially because of the market, right? The sellers market. You don't have to invest a ton of money to be able to get money. But if you want value for your money, there are some certain things. Even a fresh coat of paint, right, throughout your house can increase the home sale price, by as much as 5%. So you want to do some not so intensive renovations, but do stuff that would make people come into the house and feel comfortable as the house is, right? So yeah,
you want them to feel, okay, this house is ready to move in, hopefully. So Fola, to you, and then to Felipe. So while I have you here, you're dealing with home buyers, you're showing them homes. What are they nowadays? What are they looking for? What kind of things are calling their attention the most nowadays?
Well, I'll say, like we talked about earlier, right? They want a house that is clean, properly maintained, right? They want a house, there's some buyers that are not thorough, but that's why the realtor is there, right? To be able to guide them appropriately, right?
So let me interrupt you there. So if I take two homes, both are well maintained, no visible leaks or damages, they're very comparable in price and maintenance. Now what do they look for into this? What would be the determining factor for them to say, okay, I'll go with this one besides maintenance? They're both the same in that regards.
Sorry, you broke up for a second there, I think.
Yeah, sorry. So my question was, so if I'm a buyer, I have two homes that compare in the maintenance, they're both kept very well, similar prices. Now, besides the maintenance and the home, what else are buyers looking for? Are they looking for like
location? I would say
location.
Yeah, it depends, right? But a lot of people are looking for location. So if you have two properties, different locations, one in not so great neighborhood, right, and or in the midst of houses that are lower in quality or aesthetic, compared to the other one, even though they're on the same level, to the two comparables. But for me, a very key thing to look at, and this is coming from a lot of clients that I've worked with, is the location. They want location where they can be able to get value for what they've paid for. They don't want just that particular part of that type of house that they're looking at in a wrong location, right?
Yeah.
So
location.
it's very key. Yeah.
Very good. And Fola, what would you say to that? Sorry, Felipe.
Okay, so yeah, location is important, of course, but if you have similar location, similar product, I think what people will be going after is any of the upgrades that were done to the home, such as open concept. I still find that people love that open concept feel. So maybe a property that might have had a wall or two knocked down to make it open. And as always, as we mentioned before, kitchen and bathrooms are always a big hit, no matter where you go. If the kitchen is beautiful and the bathrooms are beautiful, later on, after seeing 5 or 6 properties, you talk to the client and you say, which one did you like? And they're going to say, oh my God, the kitchen on that was beautiful. There you go. So in my opinion, kitchen is huge. Open concept bathrooms. And of course, as we talked about outside spaces, that are nice and comfortable for the family. I think those are important as well.
Very good. So on that note of open concepts, Anna and Natasha, this dynamic duo that we have here, do you think COVID has changed the determining factors of what people are looking inside a home as part of the home? Do you think that has changed anything, or is it just the same?
No, it's definitely changed, I think. I feel like a lot of clients now are looking for functionality of the home. Because of COVID, a lot of people are now looking to spend more time at home and what they can do in the house. So I've noticed, actually, me and Anna both, we noticed that, especially after COVID 2020, houses with views, houses with pools, houses with like saunas, indoor gyms, like all those kind of hot tubs, yes. Those ones, they were really skyrocketing on the market, and like really, being like, it was just insane how many people were looking for pools with the house. And if they couldn't get a pool, they were determined to find a house with a very large backyard so they could add a pool. So I think that was huge. Like, functionality of the home since COVID is very, very like straightforward. They're looking for that now.
And like in like bigger spaces, well, like, I mean, people before, they weren't considering, they said, let's just downsize, let's try to look at, what we can do. But today people are looking at their living rooms and they're saying, can I add a desk here? Can I make this into, like, is there a sunroom? Can I get an office going here? Your kids are getting homeschooled. People are looking for privacy as well, because we've all been, right, kind of staring at each other, especially we work from home for a while. So definitely, I would say the functionality of the home, like the idea of what people are trying to get out of the house today, has really changed.
Very interesting. I did read in, one of these articles that people, home designers, home builders are not trying to incorporate more private spaces, which is, I don't know if they will eventually catch up, because it tends to be that way. Open spaces have been huge for so long. So I'm wondering if at some point it's going to change, like in, I don't know, just in 5 years, are we going to start seeing more private, back to the formal dining room, back to, the den separated from the kitchen, which I prefer to have that open kitchen concept 100 times. But I'm wondering, will we have the same discussion 5 years, and will we be talking about all these things differently? So I did some research, and I divided the upgrades into these categories. So maybe Anna and Felipe, if you want to comment, some of what you think are most important. So upgrades that make the home more efficient, upgrades that add style, like let's just say, like changing or doing that bathroom makeover would add the style, or putting moldings around, changing the doors, all those things. Upgrades that make the home more efficient, I'm thinking, maybe it's a more efficient kitchen, or the flow, it's different, it's better. Adding square footage, that would be another type of upgrades. Enhancing outdoor living, like Natasha mentioned, or improving curb appeal. So we have the efficiency, maybe like smart homes would fall into this category. Style, square footage, outdoor living, and curb appeal. Anna, what would you say, what makes the most sense? If I could only choose one of these 5, what would make the most sense to me? And of course, in your area where you're at. And then Felipe, please.
I thank you, Jessica. I would personally say, ideally, we can try our best to find a balance between these, because, I mean, of course, you want to make sure that you have something that caters to everybody. The reality of it is that every single client that we receive has a different goal for their home. Yes. And realistically, if we really had to choose one, and Natasha and I talked about this, we said it would have to be square footage. And the reason for that is because it doesn't matter, what your idea is for the home. If you have the square footage of it, you have the added value. And that's what's important, because at the end of the day, whether you choose to be in this home for 10 years or you choose to be in it for 5, you want to be able to have it appreciate and to get as much for it as you possibly can. This is the biggest investment we will all make in our lives, and we want to make sure that it grows. So in our personal opinion, we would say ideally a balance, but if we had to go with one, it would be square footage.
I love that. Felipe, I see you nodding.
Yeah, that's exactly the same thing. Again, a balance of everything would be great because you do want to increase it everywhere. But I mean, we are in a business where we sell per square foot. It just makes sense to increase the square footage if you want to increase the value of the property, whether it's just a home or if you're able to increase land or something like that, just to make it bigger. People want bigger for more options. Absolutely, I agree with that.
And I think it also takes a smart buyer that is able to see the potential of a home, because if it doesn't have the style upgraded, but it has really good spaces and it's efficient and it flows, and if buyers can see that potential, then they're making a good decision. And I would go with buyers and they would say, oh, I don't like. Actually, I did get this answer. I don't know if you've gotten it, but I did get this answer. I don't like the couch. I was like, the couch is not staying with the home. But sometimes buyers, they are very much influenced by what the owner of the home has in their spaces. And so it takes a lot of guide from a realtor to be able to point out the things that you shouldn't even be considering. So Natasha, we talked about open spaces, so I'm going to ask you about this now, and then Fola, please. What about gray interiors? I see a switch for so many years. It was, the gray walls, the grayish floors, the gray kitchen cabinets. What's your take? Gray bathrooms too, the gray tiles. So what's your take? Is this changing? Are we seeing, is the industry pivoting? Do you still see people liking the neutral grays? What's your take on that?
So once again, everyone is very unique and they have their own kind of design in mind when they do look at a house. I just like fashion forward, you see like the 90s, style kind of coming back. It goes the same with houses and interior decorating. I feel like before, like 10 years ago, we used to see, dark kitchens and dark floors, and that was the new in. Remember those days? And then, then it kind of zoomed off to the grays, but now we're into whites and lights and brights. But I think it's always going to be pivoting and always going to be changing. There is no way to kind of say that this is going to last for the next 5 to 10 years. Everyone's style is always, changing. But personally, I do like the whites and the lights, just because I feel like it does make the house brighter. It does make the space seem bigger. Yeah, with the light kind of going back and forth. I personally would go for a lighter look, especially if you're trying to resell your home. I would suggest my clients to kind of do more of the whites and lights and stuff instead of going with the grays, because sometimes if you get a wrong tint of gray, it could make the space seem a little bit darker and shadow, like more shadow. So it's not a good selling.
Well said. Fola, do you agree? Do you see something different in Calgary? Are we still in the grays when it comes to color schemes? What do you feel? And I'm talking more like the finishes of the home itself, like the painting and the tiles, the carpets and the floors.
Yeah, so I totally agree with Natasha, right? Yeah, the thing is, well, it has to do with the individual, right? But the most common theme and the colors we tend to see now are not the gray, but lighter colors like white, off-white. I see a lot of people going having contrast. They have like light floors and then dark cabinets, like things like that. Light walls, dark cabinets, and the island maybe dark, and then they have the cabinets as lighter colors. So most homes that I've been to, they tend to have more light colors, and this is because it makes the home feel brighter, and it makes it feel larger somehow, right?
Very good.
So yeah, I think yeah, that's my take on it.
I see, Anna, you're nodding as well. As a designer, I'm seeing a switch from, yes, from grays to cream whites, and from the grayish cabinets to the light color wood tones. It just seems like we're going more towards the organic feels, earth tones being incorporated into a home. And then maybe a couple more questions. Buyers, especially first-time home buyers, tend to upgrade the home and do all these makeovers, all the things that they should do into a home right before they sell, because they want to sell well. I have my own take on that, but I'd like to hear maybe Fola and Felipe, what would you recommend to a homeowner, to a first-time homeowner? You bought the home, it needs some upgrade. When would you recommend them to start doing those renovations and upgrades? Fola and then Felipe, please.
Well, I think this has to do with the pockets of each individual. It has to do with your budget and all that. But
yes,
there are cases where you have certain budgets that is, that you have on the side, and maybe you got a house, a great deal, and for a very good price, and you have some budget, somewhere for renovations. I'll say for me personally, and for some of the clients that I've worked with, I think upgrade to energy efficient features and appliances have been something they, look at doing the moment they settle into the houses, right? And, if your home currently features old appliances that guzzle energy, right? And date your interiors, right? Your new homeowners, you wanna bring people into the house, and part of the things they're gonna see are your appliances, and yeah, an upgrade, even if it's installing a modestly priced modern appliance, would work. And apart from that, it would also cut the utility bills and stuff
yes.
like that, right? So it is something that I know I've seen, that clients want, especially new home buyers, the moment they settle in, they want to try to achieve. So apart from the appeal, also it cuts the cost on their bills, right? So
Well
yeah.
said, well said. And Felipe, I have a home, I have the budget. Where do I wait a year until I've lived in the home, a year or two? Do I start renovating? Should I wait until I'm ready to sell? What's your take on that?
Yeah, so again, any maintenance issues should be dealt with immediately as soon as you move in. If there's anything that needs to be repaired, do that now before it gets worse. The other take I tell my clients is, well, if you're already planning on changing the kitchen before you sell it in 3 years, why don't you do it now and enjoy the kitchen for the next 3 years? I find that people that do renovations to sell is great, but at the same time, you spend the money. Why not enjoy the product while you live there? So now you're living in a home with a new kitchen, and there's a good chance that when you sell it, it's still going to sell for a very good price. Okay, so that's what I say. If you have the opportunity, get the repairs done and the upgrades done. If
Enjoy
budget
them
and timing it
yourself.
is, enjoy it. I mean, everybody wants to live in a new kitchen. You're going to pay for it anyways. Pay it, live it, use it, sell it. Right.
Yeah, I agree. And actually, that's why I started working with first-time homeowners, because when I was one in Panama, I had so many renovations that I wanted to do, but I delayed them, thinking I'm just going to do it, I'll either go big or go home. I'm going to just do it right from the beginning, and kept delaying it and thinking I'm going to wait until I have, all the money saved, instead of doing things, one at a time. I ended up doing that right before selling. And of course, it increased the value of the property, but I didn't enjoy it. It was my buyers who did. So I would say, yeah, if the budget is there, like Fola said, then go ahead and enjoy your renovations, not just your buyers in the future time. I see, Anna, you're nodding.
I agree with everything
Yeah.
you say, Jessica.
So let me ask you, Anna, what's the craziest renovation that you've seen? One that made you, go like, oh boy, what did they do? This did not work well for the homeowner. It definitely did not increase the price. What's the craziest one you've seen?
I mean, definitely, when you start looking at some of these kind of upper scale, homes, you see a lot of people have money and they want to build custom things, and you know, whether it makes sense to others when you sell it or not, you know, it's their taste, right? But one of the most eccentric things I saw actually pretty recently was a condo in downtown. They had, I guess the owners were just big on shoes, like very shoe loving people, and
Yeah.
they had an entire wall. So basically they took out their closet and then they had this entire wall, and it was set, you know, to have like their clothes and obviously kind of some shoes on display. But the fact of the matter was that, you know, how many people do you know that have more shoes than they do clothes? And it was an entire wall for their shoes to be on display. So, I mean, while it's something that is amazing and it was beautifully done in quartz and, you know, the whole 9 yards, at the end of the day, someone else is going to look at that, and are they really going to keep it, or are they going to have to spend the money to now turn this into something else? So I
Yeah.
think that's kind of the issue with very, very custom things. Well, it's your house and you want to make sure you put money towards whatever makes sense for you. When it comes to reselling, you have to realize not everybody's going to see the value in something like that.
Very good. And Fola, have you seen any crazy renovations that you go like, that did not work? That did not increase the value of the home?
Well, in Calgary here, you know how the weather is and all that, right? And I've actually shown a particular house, and it's crazy. A lot of people didn't get excited about that feature, which was an outdoor pool, right? And you know, on a tiny backyard, right? So like a lot of people did not, you know, I know they actually did it for a reason. They enjoyed it, but just like the last speaker said, right? You know, you want to think about a value that's gonna add to your resale, right? You know, so you don't just want to do stuff. You might enjoy it, but if you know that it's most likely not going to appeal to, you know, people that might be buying, then you want to have a rethink, right? So yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well
that's
said.
it.
Yeah. If you were in Panama, probably swimming pool would just completely appeal to everyone. I'm not sure here in Calgary. Natasha, you mentioned outdoor living, and I totally agree. People are looking to use the outdoor of their home more, especially, you know, when everybody was isolating. So when it comes to outdoor living, what would you say it's worth investing on? It's just something like, yeah, that would definitely increase the value of your home.
I would probably say, depending on the area for sure, but like here in the GTA, I would say if you have the space in your backyard, a pool is amazing. I mean, you cannot go wrong with either a pool or a hot tub even. Those are some great features to upgrade. A deck is kind of good for, you know, sitting, barbecue, seating, things like that. Shed space, that's really important to have some sort of outdoor storage, especially if you don't have a garage and you have something in the backyard that's appealing for storage. That's really important, I would say. And all in all, I just think landscaping is, you know, very appealing as well for clients when they are looking at properties. If it's not well maintained and doesn't look nice, people just sometimes they cannot visualize things. And that's where staging and stuff really is important, because some people are not visualizers. So if it's not, you know, made to look pretty, people can't see themselves there.
Very good, very good. And Felipe, I'm not going to ask you about outdoors because you probably can enjoy that, you know, all year, throughout the whole year. But if someone is analyzing or evaluating the renovation of the kitchen, I guess you mentioned this before, kitchen renovations can go, you know, like from $7,000, $10,000, all the way to $100,000. So how did a homeowner determine if it's the right amount to invest? Because it can go up as high as, you know, over $100,000, but is it really worth it for every home? And how can a homeowner know, okay, I don't think I should spend more than this?
I think it depends where they're starting. Like, what do they have to work with? Because a lot of the times just resurfacing the cabinets could be sufficient to update the kitchen, maybe turning it from a oak color cabinet to a white cabinet. You know what I mean? Maybe doing certain things would make it. And it would be budgeted correctly for them if that was what they chose to do. For people that have a bigger budget, of course, they could go from pre-measured cabinets up to custom made, and as you mentioned, it could go up to hundreds of thousands of dollars depending on what they have. But I really think that people should stick with their budget and at the same time kind of match it to the rest of the home. So investing $100,000 on a beautiful kitchen when the rest of the home is a tear down might not be kind of the right choice. So again,
not very smart.
It depends on the product. You also want to update it, but see what you have to work with to begin with, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think it comes back to the right advice and the market evaluation. So in the last few minutes, why don't you, Felipe, if you can get us started, and then Ana, Natasha, and Fola, I have you here in this order. Just kind of your last words of advice, and if you can tell everyone where they can find you in your respective areas, but what would you tell home buyers? And yeah, Felipe, take it, please.
Excellent. Okay, so again, my advice would be to always budget correctly for the maintenance of your home, as I've been saying from the beginning. Take care of it, even if it's not your forever home. Take care of it and love it, because it is going to show when you sell it whether you loved it or you didn't. Okay, and we understand that it might not be where you want to end up, but it is a great stepping stone, and you need to show it love. So that's kind of my advice if you're going to be a new homeowner. If you want to get a hold of me, our website is www.twobrosrealty.com. We specialize, of course, in the Spanish community in our area, but our English is perfect, and we would love to help you even if you don't speak Spanish. And of course, for the other realtors, we love doing referrals as well in this area. So love working with people as well. Okay.
Thank you, Felipe. Thank you. Ana?
For Ana and myself,
Okay.
I think our biggest encouragement would be not to feel discouraged. So we just kind of want our clients to know, like, the process could be very long and lengthy, but at the end of the day, it's just about kind of moving forward and putting your feet and getting in the door, as opposed to waiting for your dream home, because you never know. The market's never going to kind of go back to what it was 10, 20 years ago. It's only going to be increasing. It is going to be an investment. So as long as you get your foot in the door, to move forward, that's kind of what we would highly suggest with our clients going forward.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you. And where can people reach both of you?
Anna?
So so they can reach us. We'll share our social media handle because it has basically websites and everything else. Natasha's is at Sell with Tash. And mine is at Anna_Dreammaker. We do work together, so we're pretty much covering all of the GTA area. More up north, she's south, but you know, we work as a team. So pretty much getting a hold of her is the same thing as myself. And you know, just to kind of piggyback off of what Natasha said, like it's important to not get discouraged, to have a good strategy going in, to have all these things, but also extremely important to make sure that you work with a realtor. I understand that with these sort of prices, people think that they can bypass and say, hey, let me go ahead and sell by myself. And the reality of it is that we're all investing so much time and effort into being able to provide the best advice for our clients. And, you know, just because you're trying to save a little bit of money, getting somebody to come in and to help you sell your home, I think it's more than justified if you're actually able to make a lot more money than you thought you would have, because now you have this expert opinion coming in, telling you how to stage it properly, what to do, what fixes to, you know, provide. All of those sort of things add value. So I think it's really important for you to make sure that you find a good local realtor that has the understanding of what's happening, and that's going to be able to provide you with all of that knowledge that we spend so much time working on.
Thank you, Anna. Thank you. And I will make sure to put the handles for all of you in the email that will go out with this recording. Fola, any last words and how we can get a hold of you?
Yeah, so thank you for that opportunity. I think firstly, I would like to say to first-time home buyers that just like Anna said, you know, you don't want to be discouraged, right? You don't want to give up. I know it's not my advice to any home buyer to settle, but sometimes you want to make some compromise, right? You want to try to give up some things for some others, right? So when you buy a house, or when you want to make a decision to buy a house, you want to see it as, yeah, a shelter for you and your family, but also as an investment. So once you see it that way, it is going to encourage you to you know, put in your best, right? So that's what I think. So yeah, I work here, Calgary, majorly. You know, we've got the Northwest, Northeast, Southwest, and Southeast. You know, I cover the neighboring towns as well. You know, so and my handle is I could, you know, people could get me on social media, and I'm at Fola Realtor. That's Fola Realtor, one word. And yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. Well, I thank you, all of you. So, you know, for anyone who's buying a home and is listening to this live or in the recording, I do have a free guide for buyers that they can use to analyze, is this worth, it's not from the realtor perspective, but from an interior design perspective. So that's a free guide. I'm going to send the link to that in the email that will go out tonight. And to Felipe, Anna, Natasha, and Fola, thank you very much for, you know, giving your time this busy Saturday afternoon or morning for some of you. I really appreciate you coming here and sharing your expertise. Like I said from the beginning, you guys are in the forefront. You're in the front line. You know what's selling, what's not. So I highly appreciate your time and your opinion. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jessica, for having us.